City of a commandant. 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 City of a commandant.
Recording artist, speaker, youth advocate, and former mentee of Dr. Myles Munroe Rondell Positive shares his inspiring story from a teacher to the global stage and living in purpose and intentionality in this week's episode of the Trailblazers. Rondell Allen, aka Rondell Positive, man of purpose, the mirror boss, is one of Jamaica's most sought-after recording artists and avid speaker, kingdom teacher, purpose activator, youth advocate, and mentor. He has been mentored by great minds like Dr. Myles Munroe, Drs. Peter and Patricia Morgan, and Dr. Dave Burrows. His musical influences include reggae revolutionaries Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, and Buju Banton. He is intentional in his music, teachings, and events. Rondell is the Male Gospel Artist of the Year 2018 for Jamaica and also a multiple Caribbean Music Awards winner, being the youngest Jamaican gospel artist to be awarded the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association Iconic Honor Award for Gospel at age 39. He received the Sterling Gospel Music Award for Best Collaboration 2017 for the song Not Afraid, a hard-hitting reggae track with authentic kingdom lyrics featuring Kevin Downswell. His most recent nomination has seen him being nominated by Reggae Sumfest Social as Best Gospel Artist of the Year. Among his list of clientele for performances are the Office of the Prime Minister, Olympians Shelley and Fraser Price and Asafa Powell, and numerous private and public sector organizations. He has shared the stage with many of the world's great performers, including Pastor Donnie McClurking, Tasha Cobbs Leonard, Kirk Franklin, Papa San, Travis Green, Israel Houghton, and more. Rondell has also performed on major world-ranking reggae shows such as Rebel Salute and Portland Jerk Fest. He has performed across the Caribbean, United States, and the United Kingdom. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Education awarded by the Micro University and a Diploma of Primary Education acquired at the College of Agriculture, Science and Education, Case. He is married to his beautiful wife Latoya, and they parent three gorgeous daughters, Janari, Leanne, and Reen. Rondell Positive is our guest in this week's episode of the Trailblazers, and I'm so happy to have you join the program. It's a pleasure.
Such an honor to be here with you.
Thank you so much. All right, so you have a very interesting story. You were a teacher, and then you made your transition into the music industry. Tell us about your early beginnings, how you ended up teaching and then making that transition to music.
Well, first I would say that I'm still a teacher.
Okay.
Because the saying goes, once a teacher, always a teacher. I'm just teaching school. My school is much bigger, much wider. The audience is worldwide, not just in a box. How did I become a teacher? You know what? I became a teacher because my mother decided that I was going to become a teacher.
Really?
When I was finished with high school, I never graduated high school. I wasted a lot of time at high school, by the way. Never graduated high school. However, I finished high school with 3 subjects. And my mother said, "You're not staying home." And I mean, that was late 90s. And so she shipped me off to Teachers College. To this day, I don't know how I got into Teachers College because I never had math.
Wow.
So I was a student who loved English though. So I did English in every examination that there's an English examination, I did English. And so mommy decided that I'm going to college. And I went to college. I fell in love with college and and the wickedest thing is that I failed out of college the first year. It was wasting time. I just never knew who I was. I never knew what I was carrying. And so I spent a lot of time doing things that were never really helping me to go in the right direction. I got another chance. I got a second chance. And I think I did very well with that. And so I went into teaching. Started teaching in the year 2000, taught for 15 years. I was at Morant Bay Primary for most of that time, I think 14 years. And I started finding myself. How I found myself was that I would see so many kids who reflected me when I was their age, wasting so much time. And so I became one of the strictest teachers.
Wow.
Yeah, I became one of the strictest teachers because my thing was, I know exactly what is going to happen to you if you don't change
Yes.
how you operate.
Yes.
You know, and so, I mean, I remember one youth whose father was in prison for murder. And I remember him saying that when he grows up, he wants to be like his father. And that was a challenge for me, you know. So that was like I taught him in grade 6. So for the entire year, it's like every day. It was he and I for every day, because I was saying, listen, you're not going to become like your father.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure that you're not going, that you don't become like your father. You know, so, I mean, to this day, every time that youth see me on the road, you know, he doesn't call me Rondell Positive, he calls me Mr. Allen.
That's a very interesting story, because I actually remember several years ago when I was at JIS and I interviewed Rondell at a math event. It was some math expo.
Oh, wow.
And you were at Morant Bay
Now that
Primary.
you say that, I remember
Yeah,
that.
you remember?
At UA.
Yes, it was at
Absolutely,
UA.
yes, yes,
and so it's
absolutely.
just great to see how you have blossomed over the years. So tell us then, how did the music industry aspect happen? Was that something that you were always doing, or it just sort of happened by chance?
Yeah, the seed always has a tree in it. And not just a tree, but the forest that is filled with fruits. You know, it's about really coming to find out who we really are and why we really exist. I just posted that when you're doing work and not just a job, then you will never be out of work. You know, and I found that music was work for me. Work means becoming. That's what the word really means. The root to it, the Hebrew meaning of it, it means becoming or being. You know, so when God actually said to Adam, work ground, he's saying, become what you were created to become. You know, and so music was always in me. I think about age 9. I can remember consciously where I had my first impact in terms of singing. But music really, I think my father led me into music maybe about age 3. I just covered the song. It's called Brand New World. And it's a song that was written and performed by my mentor, Myles Munroe. And when I was about 3, my father introduced me to that song. And for some reason, at 3, I grabbed onto the song. I've never, ever forgotten the song. But in 2020, the song is absolutely relevant.
Yes.
Every word of the song is relevant in 2020. And so that's where music, my parents, my mother sang, my father sang. My father was always the person who had the little group in church that he was training and so forth. And so I was always connected to music. Even when I was in college, I was connected to music. High school, I was back then the R. Kelly, because that was R. Kelly days. And so my head was always bald and I would sing. Back then I could sing the notes that Mariah Carey sing.
Oh, I love Mariah Carey.
And so transitioned from that and became a sound system selector.
Oh,
The person
nice.
who was always talking on the microphone. And so that was like about 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years while in college. So then I became also a promoter, because I used to promote dances. And so I would be the person at college who run the big shows at college and so forth, and transitioned from that into teaching. But what really struck me with teaching was that I was teaching. And I remember one night I was at a dance and a little youth come and touch me. One of my students. It was like about almost 1 o'clock. And for some reason I was in the middle of the dance and I said, why is this youth, a grade 6 student, in the dance?
Yeah.
And then I'm saying to myself, I'm in a dance and my student is in a dance. And I am telling possibly his parents and everybody else things that I wouldn't tell him during the day.
Yes.
And so I realized that I was living a double standard. I realized that I never had integrity. Because many people don't know that is what integrity means, you know. Integrity, the word integrity means to be integrated. It means to be one. So it means what you say is who you are. And so a light bulb came on, and that's where my life started transitioning.
Wow.
You know, my life started transitioning there. And so maybe about a couple of months later, I found myself in a situation, and I became a Christian, gave my life to God, and then I stepped away from music. Stepped away from music for 3 years. And then one day in class, 2005, there was a little boy who died the Sunday evening at a football field in Mandeville. His name is Zid, and I'll never forgotten it. A drive-by shooting. And I was talking to my 10-year-old students about it. He was 10. And I'm saying to them, how do you function knowing that at age 10 you can leave your house and not go back? And they started talking, and I started writing, and a melody popped in my head.
What melody was that?
It's a peace, love, and unity. Wow. That's what we need. Peace, love, and unity in each community. And we don't need no more gunshots. We don't need no more lives lost. And I called a friend of mine, Rondell from C# back then. And he said to me, let's go record the song. So we went to the studio the same day, same evening, recorded the song. And lo and behold, the following evening, the Tuesday morning rather, I drove to school and I said to one of the teachers, I have something that I want you to hear.
Yes.
And I took him to my car and I started playing the song. And I never told him who the artist was. I just started playing the song. And the song is playing, and the song is playing, and the song is playing. Paul Martin was his name. And Paul Martin turned to me and he said, Mr. Allen, it's the first me hear that new Bob Marley.
Wow.
That's what he said. And
Another
bulb went off. Another bulb went off for me. Another bulb went off for me because it was the first time I had ever put my foot into a studio. Really? It was the very first time I've ever gone into a studio to say I'm recording something.
Wow.
And then normally say the rest is history. What I decided to do then, my wife and I, we decided that we were going to invest into
the music of Rondell.
Yeah.
And the teaching of Rondell to a global audience. That's amazing. And I mean, I was looking at your bio and, you know, as you mentioned, Bob Marley, inspiration, musical influences for you. And from Buju Banton are some of your musical influences. But you said something earlier in terms of the intentionality of what you do and the intentionality of the lyrics. How important is it for you to put that positive lyrics into society to reach lives?
You see, I think in society overall, we have been trained worldwide to be fake. So we have people saying things that they are not.
Yes.
You know, we have people telling people things in music, in songs, that they don't live. And so for me, what is most important is being one. What is most important is that for me is when you hear a Rondell Positive song, you're supposed to meet Rondell Positive.
Yes.
You know, so I have to be intentional. I mean, I've studied a lot. I've come to understand. I hated reading.
Then you were a teacher.
I'm a teacher, and I hated reading. I loved English though.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how is it that I hated reading and loved English.
Exactly. I'm trying to figure it out.
It just wasn't happening. It just never sounded right. But then I realized that there was something that was keeping me away from being the best I could be. And then I realized it was that I never had enough information. It's because of a lack of knowledge why the people perish. So I realized that I never had enough information, and I realized that I was being controlled at a place only where I didn't know.
Yes.
What I was ignorant to was all that governed me and could manipulate and control me. So, you know, I met some people. One of the most important persons I met was Dr. Myles Munroe.
Yes, and I'm happy you mentioned him, because I was just about to ask you, how did that happen? How did that unravel?
Strange story, because I met him the day after he died.
What?
Strange story.
You met him the day after he died?
Met him the day after he died. I felt as if I met him the day after he died. But I met him when I was 3, because my father introduced me to the song,
that song. Yeah,
at
Brand
age
New World.
3. And at age 3, it did something to me, because it was saying words like, people have created planes and ships, but they are not able to create a brand new world. And that a brand new world begins within. And so, but I met him, I really met his teaching and met upon who he was the day after he died. So a friend of mine who was always with me in music, he was actually managing me at one point, Philbert Ward, always said to me, there's this man that you seem to have his essence, and how you speak is the way he speaks and how you think, you know. And so Philbert told me about this guy. And then 2014, November 10, I woke up and I saw this message on my Facebook that says, rest in peace, Dr. Myles Munroe. And I'm saying, this is the guy Philbert has been telling me about.
Yes.
And I pressed play. And the first thing I heard was, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but living without a purpose. And immediately I said, this is why Philbert was telling me about this man. Yes. And I remember I didn't teach the entire day. I sat and I was just held in captivity.
Yes.
You know, to what he was saying, all of what he was saying. And so, I mean, that's where my life really shifted.
Yes.
The greatest. Because I started hearing some things that I always thought.
Yes.
And people would look at me and people would say that I'm crazy, because I'm a person who have a belief system that God says nothing is impossible.
Yes.
I believe nothing is impossible. You know, I believe that I can tell the rain stop and it stop. I believe that I can talk to somebody who is sick and tell them that get up now, and they get up. I believe that nothing is impossible.
Yes.
I really believe that.
Yes.
And so over the last 6 years, I've lived that. Yes. I've lived that. I've watched doors just fly open. I'm presently in contact with almost all of Dr. Myles Munroe's mentees worldwide.
Wow.
I'm connected. I'm in the network.
Yes.
And the guy who took over from him, Dr. Dave Burrows.
Yes.
Dr. Dave Burrows is presently my mentor.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
I've gotten the opportunity to meet so many people and to sit with so many of these people and to live.
Yes.
And hear the deepest exchanges that happened, you know. And I mean, it suggests to me that really and truly nothing is impossible, because the truth is I never went looking for it. Yes,
it came to you. And actually that's one of the things I like about what you said, and it speaks to the power of the mind, because you said nothing is impossible, and it reminded me recently of a teaching I was hearing from T.D. Jakes, and he was saying, the Bible says I can do all things, and we say it, but how many of us believe it?
Very much so.
So when you just mentioned in terms of nothing is impossible, it's that belief system. So how do persons who don't think that way, how do they begin to change their mindset?
It is sixfold. It is sixfold. The first thing is that you have to know your source. It is important. I think that's one of the biggest problems the world has, is that we have billions of people who don't know their source, and billions of people who actually believe that they are their own source. Trees trees, if you separate them from soil, they malfunction and they die. Fishes, if you separate them from water,
They die.
they malfunction and die. Stars, if you separate them from the firmament, they malfunction and die. If you look at the book of life, it explains it, that trees were produced out of the talking to of the source.
Yes.
And when God was about to make people, he spoke to himself. So if when you separate trees from soil, fish from water, and stars from firmament, they die. If man is separated from God, he automatically dies. It is a principle.
Yes.
It's a principle, it's not religious.
Yes, that's the
And
law.
it's a law.
The law of the universe.
It's like gravity.
Yes.
Yeah? So the first thing is that you have to really know your source. Secondly, you must be able to understand how you were designed to function. Man was designed in the image and likeness of God, and man was designed to have dominion over things,
Yes.
not people.
Not people.
So that's one of the other biggest problems that the world have. The world has a problem where man wants to rule other men. And the rulership of men is the only thing that God never gave to man. So people keep looking for people to rule them. When really and truly, what you're looking for is in you. I just released a song called The Answer, called The Mirror.
Yes.
What you are looking for was built into you by God. He gave you dominion over things. You carry a gift. The gift that you carry is supposed to be released and to govern, to cause things to work in alignment. No, it's not that I'm saying that government of countries is wrong. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that until man is able to connect to his source and find out the truth about how he was designed to function, and then identify his purpose, right? And then he's able now, after he identifies his purpose, he's able to identify the resources that he has at his disposal. And after identifying his resources, he now must be able to recognize that those resources were never for him. Mango trees do not produce mangoes for themselves, neither do orange trees nor banana trees.
Yes.
You know, there's a reason why people go to the cow for beef.
Or for milk.
Or for milk. Because they don't produce these things for themselves. So, man, and then sixth, we know, after getting an understanding of all of this, have to serve ourselves to the world.
Indeed.
Impact the world, give of ourselves to the world. So that is why every time I get a song, I seek to find out, how does this song change the mindset of the people? How does this song serve every human being? Wow.
Some gems dropping there. We have to wind down. Time is going, Rondell, but I mean, you know, we probably should do a part 2 another time. By the way, I love the song Overcomer. I don't mind if you drop a few lines for us right now.
I'm an overcomer and I'm standing tall. I'm more than a conqueror, even with my back against the wall. Overcomer, overcomer, put your hands in the air. Pick up yourself.
Thank you so much. I love it. Yeah. So yes, so our viewers, because the program is the Trailblazers, and you know, we've been talking a lot about purpose and vision, and you know, you shared a bit of your story, but you have shared the stage with the likes of Kirk Franklin and you know, Travis Green. I love his song You Made a Way, and so many other great personalities. And yet you've, you know, been humble, and you're giving back to your community through a number of initiatives. I understand you have several partnerships, Ministry of Education, Ministry of National Security. Tell us a bit about that, and where do you see Rondell Positive going forward?
I want to die empty.
Myles Munroe.
Yeah. I remember, after watching him, I realize, I make reference to him a lot, and I make reference to Paul a lot, and I make reference to Jesus Christ a lot. I realize that Jesus never said, I am finished.
It is finished.
He said, it is finished.
Wow.
He basically said, the purpose for my coming, I'm finished with it.
Yes.
But, so when I die, I don't, a matter of fact, I may say it this way, I won't die. I won't die, because though Jesus died, he's still alive. Paul died, still alive. Nelson Mandela died, still alive.
Because the legacy,
The
Bob
impact,
Marley
Bob
died,
Marley.
still alive.
Bob Marley.
Yes.
The impact, Marcus Garvey, the impact. And so for me, that's how I want to live. I don't want to live as a
just an ordinary,
just an artist
average.
who makes people excited in this moment.
Yes.
No. My life, when I leave here, my life is supposed to be here still.
Yes.
You know, and that's something that I pass on to my family, and to my children, and my wife, and everybody that I get an opportunity to connect with. As it relates to the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of National Security, as I said before, I really believe that government is the answer, but it's having a full understanding of what government really is.
Yes.
Really having a full understanding of what government is. So when I get the opportunity, when I was called on by the Ministry of Education to design this program for students, and just before COVID, because we were about to start something called Mirror Respect tour just before COVID, and COVID came, and then we had to just figure out how do we make something work.
Yes.
Because here's the reality: COVID came, but the students still are.
Exactly.
So the fact that COVID came does not negate the truth that the students still need to hear what we have to say. So we had to redefine and redesign and push with that. So we did a campaign called Mirror Responsibility along with the Ministry of Education, and it is blowing up all over the place, and people are participating. We have Nas and Jamal, right?
Yes,
Founders of Mind
Food International.
Mind Food International, one of the greatest companies in Jamaica right now, that Jamaica need to look forward to, because these guys have some ideas that are just re-emerging from ages before.
Yes.
You know. Ministry of National Security, they had reached out for us to do something on helping the guys, the youths, a social program helping youths in volatile areas to really connect with their purpose. And that was another amazing thing. We did something called the I Am Purpose school tour, and we did a men's reasoning session with we had an encounter with over 305 of the guys who are being suggested to be the people firing guns in Jamaica.
Wow.
And I must say to you, that was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, because sitting in that room and just showing those guys that they don't know themselves, you know, in terms of where they are now. I remember using the analogy of Moses, the fact that Moses was a murderer. And most people saw where Moses was and did not see the possibilities of where Moses could be.
That is so true.
See? So Moses was a murderer. But then when Moses met his source, came to the reality. Remember I tell you about connecting with the source. When Moses came to the reality of connecting with his source, Moses became one of the first prime ministers, one of the first leaders to lead a nation.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
And then he became the author of the first 5 books in the Constitution, man's Constitution. So that was one of the most powerful experiences for me. And I've always said it. When people ask me who is Rondell Positive, I'll say, I am purpose. I am light. I am the answer.
Yes.
I've boldly said it before. I have the answers to Jamaica. You have the answers to Jamaica too.
We have
the answers. The answer is in the mirror. The answer is in the mirror. And until we are able to tap into who we were really created to be, then we will always be malfunctioning. Why? Because boats were never created to drive on roads. If you try to drive a boat on a road, you mash it up. You're mashing it up. The reality is, to find you, the best place to go is to source, because when manufacturers make products, they complete them before they even make them.
Yes, they know the purpose of why they made it.
Exactly. So you need to find you.
Yes.
You have to find your manufacturer.
Yes.
The principles are very simple. They are not, I don't do religion. I hate religion. Religion is the greatest. It caused all the wars that you can think about.
Yes.
Most of them are caused by religion, you know. And so, yeah.
I definitely really appreciate that, Jim, and I really appreciate what you're sharing. I know I said we're winding down and this was the last thing, but just one word to share with our viewers, just one word for them.
Well, if purpose is not known, abuse is automatic. Abuse is abnormal use. If abuse is abnormal use, it means that there is normal use.
Wow.
And that's what the ab from abnormal and use. And therefore, if you are not functioning and doing exactly what you were made to do, it means that you are operating abnormally.
Yes.
And you're abusing yourself. Therefore, to find the purpose of a thing, you cannot ask the thing, and you can't ask another thing like the thing, because the other thing is another thing. You get me?
Some deep stuff. Oh, you continue.
So therefore, I go back to my number one point: source. To find the purpose of a thing and to find your purpose, you must seek out your source.
Some awesome words there. Seek out your source. The created cannot give you your source or give you your purpose. It has to be the creator, the manufacturer. Thank you so much. This has been an awesome interview. That's my favorite word these days. But definitely a lot of gems, and it's not just gems, it's words to live by, it's words to guide us, it's words to create not only a better Jamaica, but a better world. And continue to be a trailblazer. We will be seeing you all over the world.
I appreciate that. My vision, the vision of Rondell Positive Movement International, is activating purpose, transforming lives worldwide. That's what we live for.
So we're even in alignment as we end. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
I'm honored, and I want to thank you for having me, because what you have created is something that gives a voice, the wind, to really travel beyond boundaries and borders. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Much love.
Cool. Your purpose is to advance every human being that has ever been born. Every Jamaican, lift your hand over your head for now. Every Jamaican, start moving slow.